Hey YouTube, how's it going? This is Gamester81. I've had a lot of requests to see the system. This is the Pioneer Laseractive, and as I promised, I'm trying to fulfill those requests. But this particular system, I've had a lot of people up recently saying, "Hey Gamester, I'd love to see the system." I was talking to Comeback Kid a little while ago on Pete Doerr's forum, and he had a lot of questions about this. So I figured, it's about due time to do a video on this and show you guys and talk a little bit about the history and why it's a really cool collection piece. So the Pioneer Laseractive, it came out in 1993. It retailed, get this, for $970. That's US dollars. Unbelievably expensive. Didn't sell very well, and because of that fact, it's a huge collector's item now because it's pretty rare. Now, the main function of this is to play Laserdisc. And if you guys aren't familiar with Laserdisc, they're actually kind of the predecessor to DVD, so to speak. They're record vinyl size. They're double-sided. Quality of video is pretty par with DVDs, not quite as good. Audio is better than VHS, but not quite as good as DVDs. There's no chapter select, but you could pause and you could do frame by frame stills and stuff like that. A lot of schools use these growing up. I remember when I was in school, I had a Laserdisc player. We watched like Voyage of the Mimi, which was awesome. Ben Affleck's in that. If you guys haven't seen that, it's pretty funny to watch. Looking back on it, but let's power this thing back up. This is the power button right here. You got your pack. Now these things had actually additional. This space right here is intended for what they call packs, PACs, and there's about 4 different versions of them. I'll talk about those in a minute. And so this was able to expand more than just a Laserdisc player. You've got your reset right here. This is your LD. This opens up your Laserdisc. This opens up your CD drive tray rather. This is your volume. You can put a headset jack in there, and then you got your digital memory. So if you want to access your digital memory, you push that and the screen will pop up and it'll show you what kind of games you have saved and all that good stuff. But let's open up the Laserdisc. Let's show you what it looks like. My wife and I were watching E.T. the other day, actually. Great movie. I like to watch it every once in a while, and just kind of cool to watch it on Laserdisc. These are double-sided. There's 2 different versions of Laserdisc. There's ones that you have 30 minutes of video on one side, and the other one's an hour of video maximum on the one side. So unfortunately, for E.T., for example, this is disc 2, so there's another disc. So you got to switch it twice. You got to turn it over and whatever. It's kind of a headache. These scratch very easily, so you got to be careful how you handle these. Because if you scratch it just like an audio CD, it will skip and it will not read it as well. But let's set this aside and let's close this. The back of this system is nothing really spectacular. The plug-in is actually hardwired into the back of it, which is a pain because I've seen these things before where if the thing breaks off, you're pretty much screwed. If the AC adapter thing breaks off, the wire breaks or splits, whatever, you're screwed. Now you also have your CD. It will play audio CDs, and you can push that right there, and it's going to open up the middle tray here, which is really cool. And you just put it in there. Now you got to make sure that the Laserdisc is out before you do that. It will not open. Okay. Now, as I was mentioning, there were a couple packs that were released. Genesis, actually, Sega released one, and this is what it is, and this is what it looks like. The games would go in here. Okay, carts. You got your Control 1 and 2, and on the back, it's got this connector right here. It looks a lot like a CD player, car CD player, almost like the same size and weight that you would have. And how it works, it plugs in. First of all, you gotta make sure the power's off, and you gotta plug it in. Plug it into so. Now the controller, it came with a controller, and this is a Laseractive controller. And now there is a remote for this, and I have the remote for this unit. It's packed away, nothing spectacular. It looks just like a normal DVD remote. It has just Laserdisc on it, but I do use it. You can use this as well. As long as you have the pack plugged into it, you can use this for play and pause, whatever. And you get your display a little different. Enter, main, sub. These buttons aren't here on the Genesis, but this controller is compatible with all Sega Genesis systems. It's also vice versa. Those other controllers will work on this system as well. Let's power it on. One thing now here, I'll show you how the games plug in. I have a game I'll show you. Jurassic Park for Genesis, awesome. It's a lot better than the Super Nintendo version. I got it for like $3, used a while back. But if the power is on, first of all, this isn't plugged in. You gotta make sure it's all plugged all the way. Now it's flush, okay? Now once it's powered on, you can't plug in the controller, the games once the system's on. So what you gotta do is you gotta make sure the system's off, and then you would think you could do it with the label up like this. That's how it would fit in. Now actually it goes in like this, okay? Now, this Genesis thing, guess how much this pack sold for back when it came out? $600, which is ridiculous. I mean, you can get a Genesis Sega CD for a fifth, sixth that cost back then, which is, I don't understand. Again, they didn't sell very well, that's why. They also had an NEC release a clone of this Laserdisc player. They also released a pack for the TurboGrafx 16, which is like uber rare, and I'm looking for, in the search for one, finding one right now. But essentially it's the same thing. It also sold for $600. You get the Hue cards you can plug in there. You get the controller. It had one controller port, and then you would just, to play your CDs, you just open this and put the game in. And once you power it up, if you have a game on, it will automatically go to the game. You have to take it out to play Sega CD games, okay? But let's check out some of my Laserdisc collection. Oh, and also real quick, there was another pack, which is a karaoke pack you can pick up, and it initially sold for $350, and you just plug it in there, and you could play like karaoke stuff on there. There was this 3D glasses pack. Now, also these packs were really cool because they also allowed you to play Laseractive games. There were games specifically made for the system that were Laserdisc, and they're pretty rare to find, but you need a pack in order to play them. So if you're a big Genesis fan, these Genesis packs aren't nearly as rare as the TurboGrafx ones. But let's check out because they're almost like album, like think of it like record albums. They had really cool sleeves and stuff for it, much like records. But this is the one I got from my wife because it's called Loverboy. She's a big McDreamy fan. This has got the guy from McDreamy, and it's got Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia in it as well. Whatever. Sinister Moon hooked me up with this. Now, the benefit of these movies are they're really cheap now. You can get them for like $1 or $2, literally. I mean, really, really cheap. Usually you can find them at used bookstores, but this is Porky's. Sinister Moon hooked me up with this as well. That's cool. He also hooked me up with this Stevie Nicks. I guess it's a concert, which is cool. It was like $1. This is what I got with my Laseractive. It's like an interactive software thing. It came with, it's like a magazine, shows you all about the Laserdisc. This is actually a pretty cool, interesting title for Laserdisc. Roger Rabbit, which is an awesome movie. Took them a while to come up with it on DVD, but here's this interesting story about Roger Rabbit on Laserdisc. When it came out on Laserdisc, you had the ability, as I was saying, you can pause and watch frame by frame. There's a couple sequences where Jessica Rabbit, which is the one right here, Roger Rabbit's wife, she's probably the hottest cartoon, I think. But there's a scene where she's actually can see her underneath her dress. And if you do it frame by frame, you can actually see it. There's another interesting scene where the baby here, I think it's baby Howard, or I forget his name, but he's like flicking off someone. If you do it slowly frame by frame, you can actually see it. So a lot of people discover that. Disney and Warner Brothers, they're kind of upset about it. But only movie where they actually have both Warner Brothers and Disney characters in it. Awesome movie. Awesome, funny movie. You got Les Mis, which is a great musical. I really enjoy watching that. This is actually a record. I don't know what's doing there. But this is Braveheart. This is a 2-disc one. It's a really cool movie. I got it for like $3. Awesome. Battlestar Galactica, which is a cool series. I love the new series as well. I got Willow. It's an awesome movie. I really enjoy watching that. Short Circuit. This guy always reminded me of the guy from Star Tours for some reason. I don't know, but really funny movie. Classic 80s Breakfast Club. Back to Future 1. This is a classic. Back to Future 2. Okay, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, I'm sure by now. This is Return of the Jedi. You got Empire Strikes Back, and you got Star Wars. These are the first releases. There were the THX versions that were released, and they also have Episode 1 that came out, and there's a couple Ewok movies that were released on Laserdisc. Pink Floyd, on The Wall on Laserdisc. Die Hard 2. Die Hard 1. Blade Runner with Harrison Ford. It's a classic movie. Oh, I know my buddy Mike, MNC, will enjoy. This is Terminator 2, and this is Terminator 1. Flatlines. Got Star Trek Generations. The Crow, which, if you guys didn't know, Brandon Lee was in this, and he died in the filming of this. That's Bruce Lee's son. Classic Jurassic Park. This is a really cool case. 2001 Space Odyssey. Wow, what a classic. Logan's Run. A lot of sci-fi ones. E.T. Romancing the Stone. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Last Crusade. They got 2 Last Crusades. Dude, awesome. DuckTales. Love this show growing up. The Abyss. Heavy Metal. That kind of reminds me of the game that's coming out soon, isn't it? Alright. The Fugitive. Harrison Ford. Sleepless in Seattle. Yeah, you know, it's a chick flick, but I like it. Grew up in Seattle. There's a lot of cool scenes in it. And, what, $2 for it? Can't beat that. Lethal Weapon 3. Brainstorm. This is Edward Furlong, the guy from Terminator 2, the kid from Terminator 2. Interesting movie. Young Sherlock Holmes. Home Alone 2. And lastly, but not least, got Fantasia, Disney's Fantasia. This is like a really big box. I think there's like 3 DVDs, or I'm sorry, 3 or 4 Laserdiscs in there. So that's my collection. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Thanks for watching. Take care.